We got the 3rd gen Tundra here in the shop, and today we're going to be installing some LED vent lights here. This is not only going to look much better, but it's also going to be functional with both a turn signal and a running light. So right here on the table, we have everything that's going to be included in the kit. You got your 2 lights, you got the wiring harness, and you also have 4 wire taps. On a scale of 1 to 3, we're going to call this a level 2. You're going to need some average mechanical skills to get this installed because we are going to be doing some wiring and we are going to be taking some stuff apart. Closer look here of the stuff. You're going to have your lights, and on the back side, you're going to have a yellow wire. This is going to be to operate the turn signal. This is optional. If you don't want the turn signal to work, you can just leave this unhooked or you can cut it. And then you have another 3 wires coming off of that with a plug. This is obviously going to be your main power and ground. And then we have the main wiring harness, which is going to have 2 plugs on it, which is obviously going to each of the lights. And then you have a power, a ground, and then the white wire is if you want the lights to dim when you turn your headlights on, you would tie this wire into your headlight wiring. Now when it comes to hooking up this wiring harness, there is a number of ways that you can get power to turn these on. In this video, we're going to be showing you how to get power from your marker lights. When it comes to light color, we have 2 different options. We have a white running light with an amber turn signal, and then we also have one that is an amber running light with an amber turn signal. Both options are available at Yoda Expedition. Links are down in the description. The tools we're going to be using for this job is a ratchet with a 10mm socket, a trim prying tool, a small pair of pliers, and a pair of wire strippers. So we're going to go ahead and get this install started by popping out these plastic inserts. All right, so we have our plastic trim prying tool, and then we have 2 clips on the top, we have 2 clips on the bottom, and then in the middle we also have 2 clips. So we're going to work our way from the top down. I'm going to go ahead and put the trim prying tool back in behind the panel and pop that out. All right, so we have the top removed. And while you're doing this, you might undo the clip that is also holding in the bumper. So we'll put our finger back there and pop that back in place. And the middle ones come out fairly easy. Once you just pull this out a little bit, they'll pop right out. Then we'll take the trim prying tool onto the bottom, pop that one out. And once you get one out, the second one comes out fairly easy. Now, if you find it easier to remove the 2 bottom clips, you can go in from the bottom underneath the fender liner, reach up, and then depress these to get those out. The top ones, not so much, since they're up there in front of the headlight area. So I would suggest maybe popping these ones out with the trim prying tool, and then these bottom ones, reach up and depress and pull out. Right here's that clip I was talking about that holds the bumper in. That might come off in the process. You can just push that back in. All right, so now we have our brand new lights here, and we're going to take the wiring and we're going to put it through the hole on the very bottom. We'll catch up with that wiring later and do all of that once we get the fender liner taken out. So all you have to do is snap that in place on the 4 corners and good to go. Go ahead and install the driver's side. So we have both lights installed. Now we're going to go ahead and get access to the back side of the lights by removing a couple of 10mm bolts for the fender liner. So I have a 1/4 inch ratchet and a 10mm socket, and we have 4 10mm bolts here that we're going to take out. So the plug we're going to be looking for is up inside the fender well, and that is plugging into the turn signal and also the running light on the headlight. So once you have located that plug, we'll go ahead and unplug that. All right, so I have the plug out here, and the middle wire is going to be the power for your running light, and the wire on the right, which is blue with a white stripe, that is going to be the power for the turn signal on the passenger side. All right, so now we're going to take 2 of our wire taps and we're going to get power from those 2 wires. The middle wire is going to be to power the vent lights on, and then the blue and white wire is going to be to power the turn signal here on the passenger side. and then we'll go over to the driver's side and we'll get power for that turn signal. So it's a little difficult to show you exactly what's going on up here with the camera. I have an example here. We have our wire tap, and this wire here running horizontally would represent the wire on your factory plug. And then this wire here coming in is going to be the new wire for the vent lights. So there is some plastic looming on the wire. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more wire exposed because there's maybe only a 1/2 inch, and it's gonna be a little difficult to get it on there nicely. So I'm gonna peel back some of the wire looming and then put on the wire taps. So we got one wire done. I have to do the other one. So this side will have to do 2 wires. The driver's side will only have to do 1, just to power the turn signal. All right, so as you can see, we have both wire taps installed. We'll go ahead and put the other wires into those wire taps now. All right, so now we're gonna take the 3 wires here, the 3 main wires coming from the harness, and we're going to cut off all of the ends. We don't need any of those. The white wire and the red wire can go straight into the wire taps, and the black wire we are going to put a new ring terminal on so we can mount it to the 10mm bolt here on the side of the inner fender. All right, so we got that new terminal on there so that we can mount it to that bolt, but we need a little bit more length on this grounding wire, so we're going to separate it from the other 2 and pull some out. Maybe like a foot. So the black ground wire is going to be going to the 10mm bolt here on the inside of the fender. The red wire is going to be going to the middle wire on that wire that we tapped from the headlight. And then the white wire, if you want the lights on the vent lights to dim when you turn your headlights on, the white wire is going to be going to the dark green wire on the headlight plug, which we'll show you here. So right here is that plug for the main headlight. You're gonna wanna unplug that. And then you can see right here, we have a dark green wire that's gonna be powering the low beam. So if you want the vent lights to dim when you turn your headlights on, you're gonna grab power from that wire. So we're gonna start routing this wiring. The wires, the plugs that come off of the control box, you're gonna have 2. One's gonna be longer than the other, so obviously the short one's gonna go here to the passenger side, and the longer one's gonna go over to the driver's side. All right, so I got the 10mm socket and ratchet. We're gonna go ahead and take out this bolt here for these grounds. We'll put our black wire in there and tighten that back down. Okay. Now back here in the wheel well, we're gonna take that red wire and we're going to put that in the wire that powers the running lights. So we got that one crimped on. Now the yellow wire that's coming off the back of the vent light, we're gonna put that into the other wire tap. That is the blue and white wire. As you can see, we don't need all of this here, so we'll trim some of this off. All right, so we have both wires hooked up that need to be hooked up over here. We'll go ahead and plug back into the headlight. All right, now we have the plug from the harness for the vent light. We're gonna go ahead and tuck that down there as well. And we'll get that plugged in to the vent light. And then we can go ahead and test this side, make sure it works. If we're good, then we'll head over to the other side and get that side finished up. All right, we got it all hooked up over there. Let's go ahead and turn the marker lights on. We're good. Let's go ahead and turn the turn signal on. There we go. As you saw, everything's working correctly over here. You saw the startup sequence and you also saw the turn signal. So this side can be buttoned up, make sure all your wires are tucked and zip tied out of the way, and then put your fender liner back in with those 10mm bolts. Then we'll go over to the driver's side and we'll get the plug plugged into the vent light on that side and also the wire to power the turn signals as well. All right, so we have that plug undone. And if the clip is facing you, the wire all the way on the left, it's like a light purple with a yellow stripe. That is gonna be the power for the turn signal. So we'll go ahead and grab power from that. The yellow wire is gonna be going into that wire, and then just plug in the vent light from the actual harness. Yellow wire is hooked up and that is plugged back in. It's very difficult to show you guys on camera exactly what's going on. I barely have enough room to know what's going on, but we have that hooked up, and now we just need to get the 3-wire plug plugged into the vent light itself, and then we can button the side back up. There we go. Startup sequence, test the turn signal. Turn signal's good. All right, so we got both sides hooked up and working. I'm gonna go ahead and get the fender liner back in here on the driver's side. And then this job is finished up, but we are just gonna show you over on the bench what it looks like if you do hook up that white wire. All right, so over here on the bench, we have these hooked up to show you how it would look if you wired in that white wire. So right now they are on normal power, full power. We just have the ground hooked up and the red wire hooked up. If I take the white wire and I touch it to my power, you can see they do dim. So if you want the dim setting to work when you turn your headlights on, you would wire that white wire into your headlight plug. If you want them to be dim all the time, if you like that look better than the bright look, you can just twist the red wire and white wire together and then hook those into the wire tap underneath the fender. All right guys, that's gonna be a wrap for the install here of the vent lights on the 3rd gen Tundra. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 different color options. This was the white with amber turn signal. We also have the amber with amber turn signal. So the running light would currently all be amber lighting. If you guys have any questions about this install, you can ask me down below in the comments. And if you wanna pick a set of these up for your Tundra, you can grab them from yodaexpedition.com. Click the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.